Hey friends, it's me, Em again, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things sinister. If you are interested in true crime, or if you like all things horror related, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That way you can join me for some morbid conversation. So I've been quiet here lately, and that is because sickness has entered the Nelson family household. It took me and my two little girls almost completely out for a week. It was a very harsh cold that we experienced, sore throats, coughing, the whole 9 yards. And my girls, I have a 4-year-old and a 2 year I have a 4-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So me not feeling well on top of them not feeling well and me having to take care of them didn't really leave me a lot of time for like researching, filming, editing. And I didn't feel like it anyway. I was sick too. So now that I'm on the upswing and I am ready to be filming again, I decided rather than jumping in with a huge research project that would take me a week to film, we would do something a little bit different today. And today I'm going to go over a couple different photographs with you guys. And these photographs are pictures that I have seen sometime in my past, whether it's since starting my YouTube channel or since my general beginning interest in true crime. But I'm going to show you some of the most fascinating pictures in my mind that just kind of have an interesting backstory and kind of tell you a little bit about those. So, with that being said, here are 5 photos that have an ominous or sinister backstory behind them. So for our first picture, we have First Lady Rosalyn Carter, and she is pictured alongside a man, and that man is John Gacey. Yes, that John Gacey, the killer clown who killed 33 young men and boys and buried them in his basement. Gacey was convicted and later executed for those crimes in the year of 1994, but before that, he was a local, well-loved neighbor. Known for being Pogo the Clown, he was great with kids, was a well-known businessman managing 3 local Kentucky Fried Chickens, and he was the Democratic Party precinct captain. It was in this last role that Gacey actually was able to meet the First Lady on May 6, 1978. At the time, Gacey was on his 3rd year as the director for the Polish Constitution Day Parade, and the First Lady had chosen to attend. Gacey was personally vetted by her Secret Service. You'll notice the round pin on his jacket. It was a pin marked with the letter S, showing that he had been cleared by the Secret Service for contact. Not only did he meet Rosalyn that day, but she also signed the picture, which would be later found hanging proudly in Gacey's home when police were looking for bodies. She was actually listed as a character witness at his trial, but was never called to testify. When this picture was taken, Gacey had already been killing people for years by that point. At first glance, this picture just looks like a couple of scuba divers who are taking pictures of each other during one of their dives. But if you look closer in the background, you'll notice another scuba diver who looks like they're laying on the ocean floor. That person is Tina Watson, a newlywed who had gone on a dive with her husband, Gabe Watson, on their honeymoon in Australia. Gabe was an experienced diver and even a certified rescue diver, while Tina was a novice. It was during this dive that Tina lost consciousness and sank 98 feet to the ocean's floor within the first 2 minutes of the dive. She would end up dying from drowning, and because Gabe gave so many conflicting accounts of what had happened, he would not only be investigated in Queensland, Australia, where this took place, but he would plead guilty to and be convicted of manslaughter. During the trial, it was noted that Watson did no life-saving techniques that he would have been taught as a certified rescue diver, and also there was no fault to her dive equipment. Also still, she had her regulator still in her mouth and her tank still had air in it. He was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison, but that ended after serving only 12 months when he would end up going back to America, where he would also go on trial in Alabama. However, his case would end up being dismissed in America due to lack of evidence, but he still looks incredibly guilty because after being released, he would be caught several times vandalizing his wife's grave. On September 13th, 1978, Cheryl Bradshaw was the bachelorette on the popular TV show The Dating Game. She had chosen that day to go on a date with the bachelor Rodney Alcala. However, after the show, she actually turned the date down because she got the impression that he was actually pretty creepy. Turns out she was right. At the time of the show, he had already spent 3 years in prison for raping and beating an 8-year-old girl and had already begun his life as a serial killer. Rodney would later admit to having anywhere from 50 to 100 victims, but the exact number was never known. It would take multiple trials and several decades before finally getting him on death row, and there he would die of natural causes at the age of 77. This is a picture of a mother, Patricia Whitaker, with her 2 sons, Kevin on the left and Bart on the right, taken by their father, Kent, during a celebratory dinner. The family was celebrating their son Bart and the news that he had finished his exams at college and would be soon graduating. Upon returning home after the dinner, Kevin would be the first to go inside, followed by his mother and then his father. The 3 would be greeted by a masked gunman who had shot at all 3. Bart, who was still outside getting his phone charger from his car, would end up running in and struggling with the gunman, resulting in being shot in the arm before the gunman would flee. Kevin and Patricia, who were both shot in the chest, would die that night, but Kent and Bart, both only having been shot in the arm, would survive. The motivation behind this shooting was actually Bart and his web of lies. He hadn't actually passed his college exam and was using them to fund his lifestyle by accepting tuition money from them despite having dropped out of college. He ended up orchestrating this shooting as a way to get a life insurance windfall by eliminating his parents and his brother so that he would be the sole beneficiary of the policy. Now, Bart was originally sentenced to death, but after pleas from his father not to kill off his only remaining family member, his sentencing was changed from death to life in prison. This is one of the final pictures of the Republican member of the House of Pennsylvania Representatives, Bud Dwyer. Dwyer was convicted of accepting a bribe and was found guilty on 11 counts of conspiracy, mail fraud, perjury, and interstate transportation in aid of racketeering. He was scheduled to be sentenced for these crimes on January 23, 1987. Dwyer was facing a maximum of 55 years in prison plus a fine of $300,000. Bud maintained his innocence during the whole process, but according to the prosecutor, James West, the evidence against Dwyer was overwhelming and indisputable. Dwyer would end up calling for a press conference the day before his sentencing, which was when this photo was taken. Dozens of reporters attended this press conference, though Bud never specified to anyone what the press conference was about. Many thought it would likely involve Bud's resignation. His speech, however, specifically said that he would never resign from the job, and he maintained his innocence yet again. His speech would be ended when he would pull out a manila envelope holding a .357 Magnum, which he would turn upon himself. His very public suicide would actually end up being aired in various stages of censorship all over Pennsylvania. All right, friends. So to me, those were 5 pictures where I found the background stories and the context of the pictures to make the pictures significantly more interesting in that kind of morbid way. If you have any pictures that you think fit this narrative, drop them in the comments down below. I would love to look into them and maybe feature them in a upcoming video. This is something that I might sprinkle in between true crime, in between horror, just quick little snapshots where I combine multiple different things all in one video, kind of to get a lot more content out there to you guys. So I actually have a couple things that I'm working on right now for this channel. Some of it is true crime related. That is a big passion of mine. I love true crime, and I always have various true crime stories. I always have more true crime stories I want to talk about than I have time to sit down and talk about. I know I have to focus on one and get one done, but I have so many I want to talk about. So I have a couple true crime in the works, but I also have some horror related stuff in the works. This was never intended to be fully a complete true crime channel. It is mainly an outlet for my interests, which do include true crime, and it includes a lot of true crime, but I also like horror too, scary movies, horror books, stuff of that nature. And so I have a few irons in the fire, as you can say, where I am working on a little bit of both. I've got some script writing that I'm working on the true crime side, but I also have some horror stuff that should be coming in hopefully within the next month. Like I said, I'm working on a couple different things. I might be fading some stuff in. I don't know. But if that's your vibe, if you're here for the true crime content, stay for the true crime content. Because like I said, I have a lot of true crime stuff that I do anticipate talking about. This is a passion of mine. I am always looking at new cases almost every day when it comes to true crime. But if you like horror, stay for that too, because that is another avenue that I am going to be taking this channel down, and we are going to be getting a little bit more into the horror world too. Like I say, if you are interested in true crime, or if you like all things horror related, because I certainly do. I love both. And if you love both, then I feel like we're going to get along. Okay, friends, one final reminder before I hop off of here. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you didn't do it at the beginning of the video, and make sure you have post notifications turned on. That way you will be notified the next time I sit down and have a morbid conversation. Until then, until next time, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you later. All right? Bye.